Oh, just get that off the screen and record mine. So we are here today again on the 24th of February with the gorgeous Lucy Davis. Now, Lucy and I did our first sort of chat together on my channel a month ago. I can't believe it was a month ago, Lucy.
It's flown.
It's just flown. And that was all about living from your heart space. So if anyone hasn't watched that interview, it's on my YouTube channel 1 month ago. And I'd really recommend going and doing that because we covered so much stuff. But before we get into our subject for today, how are you doing, Lucy? How are things in Lucy's world?
Yeah, they're really good, actually. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me back again. It has been so busy. And when you say a month has passed, that's really quite scary. Like linear time is just being collapsed so quickly at the moment. And it's a really, really good observation that we're making, that time is going so fast, because it actually is stepping us in the right direction where time really isn't going to be, you know, a thing as we step forwards. And I feel it's very important, although a bit like yourself, you wake up and you go about your day, and then all of a sudden it's time to go to bed again, and you're like, where did that day go? And then you wake up the next morning and you're like, seriously, has another day passed? So what I'm finding at the moment, just to kind of embody that a little bit better, is just making sure I'm out in nature for at least a couple of hours a day. Absolute must, you know, to come back to heart center, because it's so easy to get caught up, you know, whether you're traveling around, whether you're stuck in your house because you've lost your power or anything like that. You know, it's very important that we just learn to navigate whatever circumstances are being thrown at us, because they are for our greatest good.
It's such a good segue into what we were going to talk about today, because with my dear friend Bryce, and you'll be joining us with her soon, I think, hopefully in a few weeks. We've started a series on meditation to really help people along their journey. And separately, I've started a little book club series on manifestation.
Oh, amazing.
Because the two goes hand in hand together. And what I'm noticing, Lucy, and you talk about this all the time. So anyone who's on Instagram, all Lucy's links will be below, because you do very regular Instagram lives. And you're always talking about this, Lucy, about how we really, I've got my reclaim sweater on today, reclaiming our lives. So a lot of people who are listening to people like you and I, they spent the last 1.5 to 2 years having their whole world opened up and finding out all sorts of things that they never knew about, and putting all the bits of the jigsaw puzzle together. And that's been a really important process for a lot of people. But I think you and I are very much on the same page, where personally, we're really, really wanting to move forward and live our lives and create the new world for ourselves, and therefore energetically what we're putting out there. But people can struggle about how to do it. When we started the meditation series, the reason we did that is so many people I was speaking to, they've got such a block about meditation. They've got a perception about what it means. So should we start there? Because that's something that you're really good at.
I think first and foremost, good on you for doing this series. It's a subject that really does need to be broken down, because it's been made so complex. And I'm going to call it, people probably won't like this, but I feel it's been made to be complex because it's been good for people to get their tribe. It's been good for people to get attention, when actually I'm going to blow it completely out of the water. Meditation can be done in many, many ways. It is not something that you need to be sat in the Buddha pose with your hands like this or your hands like this and, you know, just getting rid of your thoughts. That's not actually what meditation is. It's a myth. And it's something which, because we are busy and because we've got, we think 60, 70,000 thoughts a day. So how on earth can we just forget those? You know, what the whole guise of meditation is, and the whole aim of it, is to get to a point whereby we can see these thoughts and feel these thoughts and accept them and sit with them. And I think that's what's so important. So I do some amazing meditation when I write. And this, people would be like, writing? Seriously? But hopefully this will just start creating a few light bulbs to go off with people. You might find that running is your best time for meditation. Somebody like yourself, Catherine, might find that when they're spending time with their animals, they get their best meditation, because they're peaceful and their heart is wide open because of their connection between them and their conscious beings that are around them. you know, and there's so many different ways to
They're
meditate.
listening.
I know, look at them all in their meditative state. They're happy as Larry. But what's very important is that we, you know, I'm very, very lucky. I spent some time with Thich Nhat Hanh in Vietnam before he passed, and we were doing walking meditation. We were doing meditation over our food. We were doing meditation in all these different ways. And it's extremely important that we recognize this perception that we have on meditation isn't actually necessarily suitable for everybody. I think that's, you know, the best way to put it. I'm not saying that I don't sit there in Buddha pose or lay down and allow myself to go off, because I absolutely do. But I also meditate when I run. I meditate when I'm with my horses. I meditate when I'm writing, very, very much so. I get a lot of information coming through, you know, and I get this inner peace when I'm writing. So just because you are somebody that, you know, might not be able to carve the time out of your day to literally sit in silence, it doesn't mean that you're not carrying out that activity anyway. And I think that's the first myth that we need to address.
I'm so with you on that. And I'm so pleased you covered that, because I think a lot of people get very worried about doing this right. But before we come on a bit more to that, can we sort of take it back a step and go into the why, you know, you and I and people like us, why we've seen so many benefits in our life from incorporating this, and why people might want to really start playing around with it and seeing what works for them.
Okay, so just as a reminder for anybody that hasn't ever watched the first video that I did with Catherine, I used to have a very, very, very active mind. I worked on the trading floor for investment banks. So it was constant sensory overload. You had to push yourself harder. You had to hustle more. You had to do more. And of course, because I was working in central London, it was sensory overload of going to the bars, going out partying, the long train journeys, you know, all of those. It was just so busy. And my head and my health reflected that very, very much so. So I found meditation, and I'd known about it a long time. And I'll be honest with you, there's probably a lot of people that will resonate with this. I pretended to meditate on occasions for quite a number of years. But I found meditation when I actually lost my health in its entirety, because I was forced to go inwards. And the reasons I recommend people, so, you know, through my programs, I get people that are, you know, just starting to wake up out of the dormant sleepy phase, but I also have very, 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 very conscious people. So I have a real array of people. One of the steps, if you like, I always suggest to people is taking some time to meditate, whatever that looks like to them. Now, I would always suggest that people start with about 5 minutes. Because 5 minutes when you have got a very busy head seems like 5 hours. And it's just a case of having to sit with it and see what comes up for you. You know, just see, recognize the noise, recognize your mind going off, recognize what am I going to buy from the supermarket, or oh my gosh, I've got to put the washing on, because all of that stuff comes up when you just decide to take a couple of minutes for yourself. But it's in those minutes that you will start to really connect with your body. And for some people out there, you know, I've got clients that are in their 70s. Some of these people have never sat with themselves and just been present in all of their years. So what happens when you start to, even if you just give yourself 1 minute with yourself, your body starts to go, oh, she's remembered about me, or he's remembered about me. Oh, okay. And what you'll notice over time is that your body will start to respond better. And, you know, I know we're nowhere near talking about that, but you will recognize you'll be able to manifest things a lot quicker and a lot easier, because you are getting this connection back to self. And I think the last 2 years, like you alluded to earlier, Catherine, have been such an incredible example of how we have been distracted and how we have literally, it's been sensory overload, hasn't it? Look over here, look over there. And it's still going on. You know, there's the Queen, there's talk of war, there's talk of, you know, the Rona, as I'll call it, so that we don't get it blocked. Disappearing, you know, and that's where we are now, 2 years down the line. what the powers that be, we'll call them, are looking to do is to continue to distract us, because if we recognize that connection to self is actually the answer to all of this, the answer to us stepping out of this lower vibration of the wars and the trauma and the viruses and the dis-ease and all of those things, and stepping up into a high level of consciousness, which is very much about stepping into love and into truth and into honesty and into purpose and into passions, that is not going to serve them, because all of a sudden the people that are out there, I love all your animals moving around.
No, it's so gorgeous,
oh, they're so cute. You know, what will happen with that is they will start to lose the slaves in the system, because the slaves, and I apologize if you feel I'm being derogatory to you hearing these words, but we have been slaves. And
yeah.
if we can connect to self, that is the first step in recognizing you were never destined to be a slave. You were destined to be this incredible, powerful, divine, sovereign being that you are. You've just forgotten right now. And meditation is the doorway to just remind you that there is the light at the end of that tunnel.
Oh, so wonderful at explaining things, because I think there's so many important points you've hit on there. I mean, one, I think we have a tendency massively to overcomplicate things. And, you know, it's really, really important that people, I think most of the people that listen to me, they do get that. They get that you just can't, you have to focus on getting your own house in order first, because otherwise, you know, we can distract ourselves by worrying about everything else, but that's what sort of energy is that putting out there. So I think they're very aware of that. But you're right, a lot of people haven't really sort of said, right, today I start my new life. It's called a practice of meditation for a reason, isn't it? Because like anything in our lives, we need to do it, not just talk about it.
And do it properly, not just pretend.
Yes. Yeah, I've been guilty of doing that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think there will be a lot of people out there that can resonate with that. I remember my my old assistant. She used to say to me, "Oh, you know, I can't quite get aligned with meditation. I can't quite get it." And I was like, "Is that because you're pretending?" And she was like, "Yes, you're right." Because we don't tend to have these discussions, do we?
No.
We sit there and we're like, "Oh, I'm just going to do this because I know I've got to do this." When in reality, maybe that isn't the style for you.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to maybe you need to be by the water when you do it, because, you know, some people love the noise of the water, some people like the noise of the birds. So we all need to figure out how that focuses us to go inwards. And there's no shame in admitting that you've been pretending. There's no shame in admitting that you cannot do it. There's all I can say is exactly, you know, reiterating your point, practice is how we do anything. You couldn't walk. You didn't come out of your mother's womb and walk, did you?
Absolutely.
You
and
had to stand up, fall down, fall a bit, hurt yourself, bang your head a couple of times, and then all of a sudden, once you were off, you were off. And this is exactly the same principle. It is a journey of evolution. It is a journey of practice.
And what I love about it, Lucy, is like there's no excuses. A lot of stuff I talk about, you know, I'm very much like you, we're into holistic therapies, health and wellness. And I believe we can do everything ourselves, but I also believe, why not make life easy for yourself? So, you know, yes, my body can heal itself, but I can make my body's job easier by taking certain supplements, looking at what I eat, etc. So I like mixing and matching it. But I think it's so great because meditation costs you nothing. Every single person can do it, because it's very easy to find excuses as to why we can't do something. Like, you know, I'm a busy mom, I'm working, I can't do it first thing in the morning because I've got to get the kids off or the animals or whatever. But there's always something. You hit the nail on the head. For me, when I'm out with my animals, so walking my dogs, walking my horses, riding the horses, it's just fantastic. It's just connecting with nature. I love my barefoot shoes, even in the mud. But other people will have a completely different experience depending on what resonates with them. And I think this curiosity, you know, what I'm trying to do is sort of help people raise their consciousness through curiosity, trying what works for you, and having fun with it as well is important, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that. Curiosity. Curiosity is what we were designed to be. We were supposed to be curious. We were supposed to be, you know, oh, I like this, but I'm going to tweak it in this way so that it suits me better. And, you know, let me just give a quick example, because I think what you just said about being out with the horses and walking barefoot, all you need to do, if you are somebody who loves going walking and you're like, wow, okay, I reckon I could fit meditation in when I go walking, all I would do is remove your headphones, because most people these days have their headphones in, right?
Yeah.
And it's all great. Yes, you can do a guided meditation when you're walking, but the recommendation that I would give is, when you are walking, if it's something that you love to do, take your headphones out, switch your phone off, or, you know, just put your phone away from you and focus wholeheartedly on the connection of your heel all the way through your foot to your toes to the earth, and then feel that energy coming up into your heart space, and then from your heart space going back down to the connection of your foot. And if you can just focus on that and nothing else, obviously you'll hear the birds and you'll hear the rustling and everything else that will be really beautiful for your soul. But if you can do that, like I say, set an alarm for 5 minutes, that is where you can start. And, you know, and when I do walking meditation, I tend to walk quite slowly.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really focusing on it. That doesn't mean that you can't, when you know what you're doing, speed it up and you know, do it that way. But for me personally, when I really, really choose that divine heart connection and the connection to Mother Nature, I slow my pace down. I switch everything off around me and I just observe, and I feel whatever's going on in my body. And yes, the thoughts pop up. Yes, things come in. But what I notice these days, and why I do so many videos walking through the forests you know, on Instagram, is because I get these huge epiphanies and these huge downloads that help humanity ascend. And you know, anybody can do that. Let's be honest, you don't even need to be in a forest. You could be doing it walking down a road, walking to work, walking to, you know, your office once you've got off the tube. Like you can do it walking around the supermarket. There is no excuse. And the biggest excuse that people use for meditation is time.
Yeah.
You know, because the money one, like you said earlier, just doesn't exist with meditation. You can choose to do it. I mean, people do get hung up on, I need to do it properly. I need to learn from somebody. I need to pay somebody to learn. I disagree.
Completely.
I disagree, but it's okay for us to disagree. You know, if you are somebody that needs to learn how to do it properly and do it perfectly, then go find someone if you can afford to do that. However, if you cannot afford to do that, please don't limit yourself, because you are doing exactly that. You are making an excuse. You are blocking yourself from actually getting this true connection, probably because you're scared.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, that's so good. And one of the first things you said when you were explaining sort of the meditation was about really start to listen to your body. And let's face it, everyone likes to be listened to.
Yeah.
And our bodies want to be listened to. The soil wants to be listened to. The trees. I saw your video yesterday and it was so funny because I did a very similar video on a few days earlier, but the wind was so high when I was doing it, because I was walking around and looking at all the trees and all their limbs that have come down in the storm. And, you know, we call them branches and that sort of disassociates us. But if you're thinking it is their limbs, and obviously that's having an impact on all the other trees, because we know that all plant life communicates with each other. And when one tree in the forest is in distress, the others send nutrients through the rhizome system to help that friend out. And I think it's when you start listening to yourself, it can raise a lot of fear to people, because as you said, people just haven't done it. People in modern Western life, we haven't done it because we're so taught to distract ourselves, aren't we?
Yeah, well, people are disassociated. It's so bizarre when you actually stop and think about it. And people often say to me, like, Lucy, you know, explain to me about your soul. And people are so disassociated from the fact that if you think about it right now, you are looking, if you actually really focus on your eyes and you're looking out, you know there's something behind your eyes. There is something sat there that is guiding this skin suit to do whatever it needs to do. And I love, and I got goosebumps when you said about the trees sending nutrients to each other. We are no different to that. Yeah. We have been taught to disassociate from our body. We're taught that this is it, but actually we've got this soul within us. This is literally just a casing that we are here to enjoy the human experience. And it's about, first and foremost, associating back with that thing that's inside of you to this. But then when you connect to this, you connect to the trees, and you connect to the birds, and you connect to the dogs and the horses and everything else. And it's at that point that you recognize that even without meditation, everything is a sign for you. Everything. Yeah. Nothing happens to you without there being a divine plan around it. Absolutely everything. And when we can get back to that, and this is why they've distracted us with sugary drinks and sugary treats. I call them treats because there's nothing treat about them.
No. My dad used to say that, Lucy. He said, you know, when he grew up, having an orange was a real treat. Because, you know, he was born in the war, and fruit was just an absolute treat. And now we treat children or dogs or cats with things that are destroying their health. I mean, it's so messed up, isn't it?
It's such an inversion. And this is how, I mean, it's masterful. If you think
very masterful,
it's masterful. What these people have done is, you know, and I don't mean to give them kudos for it, but it's incredible.
Evil genius, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely incredible. Yeah. The thing is, it's now going to be more incredible that we are helping people get back in alignment and recognizing that they do have this soul, they do have this spirit, and it is living in a human vessel right now, not the other way around. You know, you are a spirit at the end of the day. You will continue to be a spirit way after this physical vessel has served you, like way after. So recognizing that this disassociation, and I don't question, you know, your listeners are fantastic, Catherine. They've been on the journey with you. They know the atrocities, they know the darkness, they know all of that stuff. So, you know, we don't really need to go there with it.
No.
What now needs to take place, and what's quite interesting is it was March 2021, so almost a year ago, that I said, I can't be doing that truth stuff anymore. Yeah. Now it's time to raise the collective consciousness. And it was almost like I just woke up one day and I was like, right, I've got to change, you know. And this is how, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing that so many people have felt that shift, but there are still a lot of people beating the drum on the old stuff. And I'm not saying that it's not serving, because there's people that are still slowly waking up right now. And I do believe everybody's going to wake up in their own time. But if you are a person that gets it now, you get what's gone on. You might not know everything, but you know that it's been, you know, a pretty dark time for humanity up until this point. Now is the time to start really recognizing that you are a spirit. You have this beautiful human vessel, even if it's not the way that you like to look right now, or even if it doesn't behave, you know. And I did a lovely interview with Wendy the other day, and
she's amazing.
I know I will get back running at one point. So, you know, even if you're in that position and your body doesn't function quite as you want it to right now, trust, become its friend. And the best way to do that is by chatting to it. Think about other human beings. You know, Catherine, if I saw you in a supermarket, say, and I just ignored you, you'd be like, oh, and you'd know that feeling would be like, oh, wonder why she's ignoring me today, because that's what we're conditioned to do, right? Whereas if I saw you in the supermarket and I was like, hey, how are you? And we had a beautiful chat, that is exactly the same principle as how your body would react when you speak to it.
Oh, it's so true. It is so true. And it's what I love about all of this is it's so simple. Once you get it, you think, oh, it really is that simple. And it's putting these things into your daily routine and making them become new habits, forming new healthy habits. Is brilliant. So can we have a look about, so another thing that a lot of people are talking about, so a lot of people were looking at creating the new world that we want to sort of see, which is wonderful. And I love the fact that so many people are talking about that. But manifestation, what does manifestation mean to you?
Oh my gosh, I love that question so much. Manifestation to me, let's be really, really selfish about it now. It means you can call in what the heck you want. If you are truthful and you are authentic in whatever it is that you are looking for, and it's for the greatest good of humanity, you will get it in an abundance. It's as simple as that. Now, the reason manifestation doesn't work for so many people is they're like, I'd love £1 million. I want £1 million because I want to buy a house and I want to buy a new car and I want to buy this and I want to buy that. And that's where they're at with, you know, calling stuff in. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting those things, just by the way. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Think about it from the highest good of humanity, though. So what, for the highest good of humanity, do you need that £1 million for? Well, currently the roof is falling down on my house. So if I could move into a different home, or if I could get that fixed, my family will be safe. That's for the greatest good of humanity. I need a new car to be able to take my mum to her hospital appointment every week. That's for the greatest good of humanity. And this is, again, the inversion that has taken place. And I'm going to say it, people probably won't like it, but I'm going to go there anyway.
Yeah.
Law of attraction, you know, the law of attraction, bearing in mind, law of attraction is one of the universal laws. The law of attraction that most people talk about is very material.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily promoted for the greatest good of humanity, which is why, again, they've been masterful in inverting something that's so important to understand. It's so, so, so important. So all I would be saying to people in regard to manifestation, you know, it makes me laugh. I'll think of something and it will be on my doorstep the next day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've got no clue how that happened, but thank you very much. Because I'm not the person anymore, let's be real, anymore, that's like, well, I need this and I need that, and this is, you know, for me, and da 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 da. Everything I do now is for the greatest good of humanity. And sometimes that means having a car accident, because when somebody crashes into the side of your car or you bump the back of somebody else, actually that knock is like, right, I need to share this with humanity. So it's not all, you know, and I think we need to remember that we are constantly manifesting every single second of every single day. It's based on your thoughts, which is why it links so cleverly with meditation, because everything you think, you're calling in. Now, a lot of people will say to me, oh, Lucy, I can't resonate with that. Like, I haven't called in my mum being sick, or I haven't called in me being sick. But actually, when you spend time with people and you break it down and you show them, you know, where they've been holding their emotional trauma, or perhaps the treats they've been having and things like that, or perhaps the toxic relationships they've been in, they go, oh gosh, yes, I have been manifesting it all the way along. We are such powerful beings. Everything we think, everything we speak comes in. And this is why, and this might be a tip for some of your listeners, every time I do a video like this, I connect in with who I call my guides and my angels. And I say, anything I speak about today doesn't mean I'm calling it in, you know?
Yeah.
And that's for the greatest good of humanity, you know, because I talk about dis-ease quite a lot in people's bodies, probably like yourself, and I don't want to call that in for myself, but that's the power of what we're doing. So it's very important that, you know, if you are somebody that speaks quite a lot, or you do have clients that are potentially, you know, unwell or whatever, just make sure that you set the intention every morning. I'm not calling this in, you know, I'm doing this work for the greatest good of humanity. So it's a level of protection for you.
I love speaking to you, Lucy, because you're so good at explaining things, and you're so good at explaining things because you've embodied all of this. And I hope people are really seeing that. You know, there's a lot of people that can talk about things, but you can tell they're not at a stage at their journey at the moment where they're really living it. And you just so genuinely are. But two things really stood out for me from there. One, the importance of gratitude in manifestation. And secondly, a lot of people are looking to manifest stuff for others. Can we talk about those two things?
Yeah, of course. So gratitude is something that I do every single day without fail. And if this isn't part of your daily rituals, please, I encourage all of you, say thank you for the fact that you woke up and you were able to see all of this stuff, even if it's been awful and you've lost all of your family and your friends and you feel isolated and alone and horrible and icky and all this stuff. Say thank you for it, because what you will start to receive is gold. you will get literal gold coming off the back of it. All of a sudden, you'll go to the supermarket, crash trolleys with someone, and they'll end up becoming your best friend. Or, you know, you'll have somebody, you know, a bit like Andrea with me, sat at the table at a Christmas party, and she's brought together this connection of Catherine and I, which was always destined to happen. We both knew it was, but instantly it took place. And this is what happens when you give thanks. Because the universe says, I'm going to test you, I'm going to test you, I'm going to test you to see if you are authentic. And thank you for saying that you can feel that I'm genuine about this, Catherine. It's been a long time of having to deal with this to be able to be authentic. But there are a lot of people that aren't. There are a lot of people out there that are saying the right things, but it's because it's not authentic. They are not living congruent in how they are giving their gratitude or how they are manifesting. And it's very important that you recognize that. So the first step for me is definitely saying thank you. Now, a little tip, because I know you like my tips, Catherine. I do gratitude as soon as I wake up in the morning. Literally, it's one of the first things that I do because, my gosh, I've lived another day. Yeah. What is there not to be grateful for? And then I instantly, you know, I say, thank you for the sunshine, because we've got sunshine here today in the UK. Thank you for the connection to my guides. Thank you for the inspiration. Thank you for that person shouting at me yesterday, because actually it made me realize there are still angry people on the planet. Thank you for, you know, whatever, particularly when things go wrong. Or perceived to be wrong. I don't necessarily agree with the language of right and wrong, but when you perceive something to be a challenge, or you perceive something to be, you know, not the way that you want, basically not getting your own way, let's call it what it is, that's when I say thank you the most, because that's when we get our biggest lessons. And when you can say thank you, you know, recently I'm actually in a rented place at the moment because I was buying a place that fell through, and I just, you know, got in a rented place. My landlord literally called me up and was like, hey, I'm putting the apartment on the market tomorrow. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, didn't expect this to come. You know, maybe in a few months I expected it, but not now. And then I sat there, and although that instant panic came up, and I was like, this is an opportunity for you, Lucy. Like, you know, you could have got comfortable here. So this is an opportunity for you. Thank you for bringing this in. Thank you to him for allowing me to get out of my tenancy early. But most people would go, oh my God, panic. I need to be busy. I need to start looking. I need to do this. I need to do that. And okay, that's quite a light-hearted thing, you know, but I do it with everything. Absolutely everything, because the gold comes from that. And when you can frig the system, because that's what we're doing by giving gratitude, when you can frig the system, all of a sudden, well, there's no point me giving her that, because she says thank you for it.
Yeah, completely. It's very easy for me to be grateful first thing in the morning, because I've always normally got at least one cat on my bed.
Oh,
so therefore I'm not, oh, thank you for having a cat on my bed. It's, you know, but I've, for me, it's been completely transformational, the gratitude side of things, for all those little things that you said. And when I don't do it, and I let myself, like over the last 24 hours, there was something that came in that I reacted to, and then it's a really good lesson to say, okay, what is it in me that made me react like that? And then thank you for that lesson, etc., because now I'm really much more aware of it than I was, because it was in there, it was just hidden.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you're vulnerable enough to say that, Catherine, because so many people are not open with their traumas that are going on behind. And it might have just been a tiny little thing, a little hiccup in the road, but it's great to hear somebody like yourself that's got a big following say, do you know what, yeah, I'm still going through this process too, because it normalizes it for everybody else. You know,
yeah, and if we were perfect, it'd be so boring, and I'm far from perfect, but it is fascinating when you go through those. And then, you know, I've always said, you know, one of my favorite sayings is the Wayne Dyer, where, you know, if you squeeze an orange, only orange juice can come out. So, you know, yesterday when I reacted angrily to something, it has nothing to do with the person, it's to do, okay, I didn't even realize that anger was inside of me about that. So now I can do something about it. Was when I didn't realize it was there, or I hadn't focused on it because I've been full of doing other things. But what about, okay, so one of the biggest questions
I can take on it really quickly.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where everybody could look at their hiccups or their anger or whatever with gratitude. just imagine the world that we would live in if everybody went, oh, okay, thank you for that, right, now I need to do something about it. And that's what we're stepping forwards towards. And this is why that you just had to say that, and I had to rudely interrupt you, so I apologize.
That's brilliant.
But it's gold. People need to recognize this. This is the world we are stepping into. Thank the traffic lights when they change for you. Thank the person that stops and lets you across the road, because every time you're saying thank you, we are creating the new earth, which is what everybody's gratitude and manifestations are basically creating right now. It's very, very important what you just said, Catherine. Say thank you.
It is. It's just fun. I love doing this journey, and we're so lucky, because you're right, the people that listen to things like you know, what I'm saying, what you're saying, we're so lucky because they're already there, they're already open to being on this journey, and you really feel that collective energy. So one of the things I've been asked so much over the last month, and again probably because of people focusing, I heard you talking about it on your Instagram video yesterday, about, you know, worrying about Canada, worrying about Ukraine, etc. But manifestation, a lot of people are manifesting for others, loved ones. So a typical one would be a mother and a child. You know, you really want your children to be happy, healthy, fulfill their dreams. And so you're concentrating your efforts on manifesting for someone else. How does that work, or not?
Yes, so of course we can manifest for other people, because it's part of, you know, they're part of us. They are us and we are them. So of course we can do that. What I tend to do, and I love the fact that you heard that, because there was a lady on my Instagram live yesterday, and people are brave when they pipe up with comments like that with me, because I always make sure that they go there and they get the gold from it. And she was very open and very receptive. You can obviously manifest for other people. However, you can, this is a good and a bad thing. So what this lady was doing is, oh my gosh, I need to focus on Canada and I need to focus on Australia. And my question is, why?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you don't love those countries and you can't send those countries love. But when you are focusing on it and living in it and breathing in it and wading in it, you are manifesting it for yourself.
Mm.
And this is a very, very important piece that a lot of people don't speak about. Just because you set the intention for your child doesn't mean you're not going to get it too.
Yeah.
So we have to be very, very clear with our manifesting and our intentions and our gratitudes. We must have a very, very high level view of what could this mean? Me watching this program, what could it mean for me? Me focusing on the doom and gloom, what could it mean for me? And we must get very, very clear on that. I'll be honest with you, and again, this might be a little bit triggering for people, especially people with children, but my answer to anybody, especially the mums, because the mums are, you know, you've given birth to these babies, you know, you've held them in your womb for 9 months, like there is a special bond between a mother and a child. My response is always, be the light bringer, be the mirror, allow your kids to mirror you and your behaviors. And the only way that, and you'll see this very, very quickly, if you start to really live in your truth and really live in your authenticity, all of a sudden you'll notice your children are starting to speak their truth, and you'll notice that they're starting to make the right decisions. You haven't had to tell them, you haven't had to manifest for them. You've basically just been the beacon of light whereby they can just mirror back. Because do remember, anybody that you cross paths with, good, bad, ugly, you know, maybe somebody shouting at you in a supermarket or something or whatever, remember that is to show you when you were last angry, or something that you need to deal with, a little bit like what you said a minute ago. Oh my gosh, didn't realize that was in me. Now I know I've got to do something about it. There's always messages in everything. And this is the thing with manifestation. Like I get a lot of people, particularly in my group on Facebook, that say, oh my God, Lucy, this person is sick. Please, can you send them healing energy? And of course, I will manifest love for that being, for the, you know, if their free will is open and for the greatest good of humanity. So if that being's soul contract is to check out because of this disease, like I have to honor that. I can't rework that, because that means I'm changing somebody else's soul path and soul contract, and only we can do that. And this is where, for me personally, I manifest massively for myself knowing it is for the greatest good of humanity, because every intention that I set, people may have heard me say before, you know I need to have whatever the equivalent is in pounds or our currency in future years. I need to have billions. Now people will be like, billions? Well, that's a bit selfish. I've got a mission and I've got a vision that I'm going to be assisting setting up multiple healing centres across the world, multiple. And I got given this in 2018, before healing centres were even like a big thing. So I've known that that abundance is absolutely required, not for me. I'm not going to live in a healing centre. I'm going to create these and create jobs and create wealth and create well-being and create wellness for as many people as I possibly can around the world. So I don't personally need the money, but I'm manifesting it for me so that then I can go, right, here's a project manager in Australia, right, boom, there's however many million. Here's a project manager in Florida, boom, there's however many million. It doesn't need to be about you. It's always the intention behind the manifestation as to whether you are going to get it. Now, a little side note on that, because this is a very important piece. If you are somebody that's like, yeah, I'm like Lucy, I'm manifesting billions, trust me, be ready for what you are manifesting. I have ended up in court because I needed to be shown what the legal system will be like when people try to take money from you. There is always other thing. Like, I've never had billions of my own money. I used to manage millions of JP Morgan's money when I used to be there. I hate to say that, but I did. For my sins, that's what I did. And I was doing projects for them. So I've been given certain skills always to be able to deal with this amount of money. But I've never been shown the dark side of the money. I've never been shown people using you or not paying you or things like that. And of course, if you want to hold this amount of money and you want to be able to, create these amazing things, it ain't going to be an easy ride.
Exactly. Yeah.
And this is the part of manifestation. People are like, well, I asked for this and I've lost everything. You needed to know how to lose it, just in case somebody steals it. And then how you rebuild it. And, there is always lessons. And I truly believe, and maybe people will think I'm crazy for this, but I truly believe everything that we are experiencing is leading us to the goal that we've got. And my vision, literally, since I got this in October 2018, nothing that I do is not about that. Everything I do, my focus is on how I'm going to create the abundance for the healing centres, everything. So of course you're going to need lessons. Of course you're going to need people that lie to you and take from you and don't pay you. And because otherwise, how are you going to cope with it?
It's a very good point, because, even with a lot of people, if it's something a smaller scale that they're manifesting, we do live at the moment in a world of duality.
Yes.
And, it's not all about every day being perfect. That's not the purpose of our existence. So I think the skill in all of this is to be okay regardless of whether you're on your up or you're down that particular day or month or year.
Absolutely. It's all about recognizing that these things are happening for you and not for you. And we get so caught up in our victim mode, and again, no judgment with people that do, because I know I've been there. My gosh, I've just had my first 15,000 words of my book that's being written at the moment be proofread, and the person's like, oh my gosh, and the whole of that 15,000 words is me in victim mode, because it's a part of my journey where I was living in victim mode. So of course I had to go back to that and feel that and remember what that felt like, because there are millions of people around the world living in victim mode. It's okay, just recognize it. Recognize it. And when something doesn't go to plan, and a bit like I said earlier, whenever we don't get our own way, we don't like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's be really real with ourselves. We would all love to get our own way all of the time, right? Simple as that. Absolutely. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. However, what we do need to do is, when we don't get our own way, recognize the patterns that we have, whether we get angry, whether we cry, whether we stamp our feet and go and have a tantrum like a child. Like, who knows? It doesn't matter what it is. You recognize it, because then you can actually do something about it. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't keep manifesting, and you shouldn't keep saying thank you for bringing that challenge. Thank you for bringing that into me. Thank you for showing me what it might be like. Thank you for bringing people that are reminding me that not everybody's as pure as yourself.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah. So for someone that's just starting down this journey of meditating and manifesting, let's have a couple of key steps to sort of get them started on the journey. I mean, I think you've covered some of them, but it'd be quite good to bring it all together at the end.
Yeah, so first and foremost, where I would be looking is what makes you happy, like what makes you feel the most peaceful. And I would start there. So if walking out in nature helps you get into a space of Zen, do that. If laying down on your bed gives you a space of Zen, go and do that. That's what I always say to people, that just go to your happy place first and then allow yourself some time. And an exercise that I give all of my clients that go through the 12-month program, and they don't like me for it when I first do it, is I essentially tell them to switch everything off and go and sit or lay, or, you know, not walk, either sit or lay. So if you're somebody that wants to either sit down or lay down, this might be a good one for you. And set an alarm on your phone and literally hear nothing, do nothing, just sit in absolute silence on your own. Now, I give them a lot longer than this, but I'm going to suggest if you're just starting out, do that for 5 minutes a day. Everybody can carve 5 minutes out of their day. It might be whilst you're sat in the car waiting for your child to come out of school. Get there 5 minutes early. You can turn the engine off, you can turn the radio off, you can turn your phone off, set an alarm, right, and just watch what happens with you. Now, people really dislike me for doing this, Catherine. They really, really do dislike me. But by about week number 3, all of a sudden they're like, I've got words coming through. I've got visions coming to me. I've got this unbelievable urge that I need to go to Egypt, or, you know, and all of a sudden they start to get what I call downloads, or what I call, you know, intuitive pulls or whatever. And they start to remember that their body has the answer for everything. And 5 minutes is absolutely nothing, absolutely nothing. Another top tip that I would have, if you are somebody that is extremely, extremely distracted, find yourself, and I'm happy to send these over to you, Catherine, to tag in here, Solfeggio Frequencies. So they're beautiful frequencies that are designed for the human body. So you may be somebody who's searching for love. So go to Solfeggio Frequencies. They're free on YouTube. Search for Solfeggio Frequencies, and Catherine can put the spelling of it below this video or wherever it goes. And literally just go there, scroll through and wait until you see something that resonates with you. Maybe love, maybe healing, maybe third eye activation, or whatever it is that resonates with you that day. Just allow that to be playing in the background. Because what that's doing is, whilst you are laid there in this, and again, you can set an alarm if you choose. You might not have a time constraint, which I don't ever give myself in the afternoon. I just go, my afternoon meditation is very much, I allow Solfeggio Frequencies to do its thing whilst I'm connecting with my body. So that's a real top tip. You will be getting DNA activations, you will be getting cellular level upgrades and things like that, which are good for your health. Trust me, they are of a good source. Rather than hearing like all the other things that go on. Now, I listen to that with headphones in. I plug it into my laptop and I sit with headphones in, just so that it's very, very crystal clear, so that it gets into my cellular level DNA. Do that for 10 minutes a day. Even if you only do that on its own, trust me, you will really, really start to get connected back to self.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So you've got some lovely courses available for people on your website, and obviously your website details will be below. Tell us about what options you give people for working with you.
Oh my gosh, all sorts of options. So I've got really nice cheap courses that people can just buy super easily, and they do on their own. Or I'm opening the doors for my membership program, which is what everybody's like chomping at the bit for every year. So I only open for my Self-Love Club membership program on the 1st of June for 72 hours. That's it. And it's because it's a 12-month program, and we literally go on a journey from recognizing our emotional trauma in self all the way through the physical, the mind, body and soul, essentially getting people connected right like really, really back in. The people that start the program are not the people that end the program. They are completely different. And so that's, you know, if somebody really wants to transform their life, that is a program that I would absolutely recommend. If you're somebody that's not quite ready to go on that whole journey of, you know, resetting the whole of your being, I've got this program called Self-Love Mastery, which is an 8-week program. I'm doing it once a quarter at the moment, just because it's I only launched it in January for the first time. People are going through it, and again, they're having such huge breakthroughs, much more than I ever thought they would. Like, my jaw is on the ground with it. It's amazing. But that would be, if you're somebody that's perhaps getting a little bit angry, or maybe you're living in what I call your ego. So that's hurt, guilt, shame, resentment, fear, any of that stuff. And you just want to learn how to navigate it and become friends with it and work with it, that's probably the course for you. But do please know that any of my programs, if you just want to come along and kind of half-arse it, I'm probably not the person for you. It's very important, because I push people hard, Catherine. I'm not gonna, I mean, you've heard me in my lives, right? I call a spade, and I don't care about the results for me. I care about the results for my clients. What my number one job is here is to awaken all of this energy within you, so you are part of the driving force of creating what we're going to in New Earth. And I know that that's my role on this planet. So, you know, if you're brave, please do reach out. And there's an option on my website to organise a 15-minute free call with my assistant. She's incredible. I've personally trained her. She's also my head coach. I've personally trained her. She's absolutely phenomenal. So if you're a bit like, I want to do something, but I'm not sure what, have a 15-minute chat with her. She can guide you. She can help you, like, really get very quickly, because she's very intuitive as well. She'll very quickly get to what would be best for you. But I also have a lot of, you know, if meditation is your thing, go to my YouTube channel. I've got quite a lot of meditations on there that I've done that help people break through massive amounts of stuff, whether it be karmic trauma, whether it be, you know, releasing past lives, whether it be, I did a really, really beautiful meditation on the 22nd, so Tuesday, and I have to say the feedback from that meditation has been the most profound I've ever received. And if you are somebody who's been under this web, go listen to that meditation. Let me take you on the journey. I think the whole video is about 30 minutes. The first couple of minutes I'm talking, then I do a journey with people, setting you up, making sure that you're ready to go into the journey, and then I journey you, and then I bring you back in. It's very, very, very profound, and it will probably release you from this having to stay in the darkness and having to regurgitate all of the lower vibrations. So, you know, please feel free to go and tap into all of that free stuff that is available for you.
Amazing. And that's what I loved. I know I mentioned it last time. That's what I love about things. So Lucy's website details are below, and her Instagram and her YouTube. And there really is something for everyone. So if you're looking for a little bit of assistance on this journey, there's something for every budget, every need. So go there. Thank you so much, Lucy. It is just such a delight to speak to you. You share so much knowledge. I always feel we get through so much when we talk. Is there anything else you want to leave everyone with?
No, I just want to say thank you. You know, I love speaking with you, Catherine. I really do. And I'm looking forward to me interviewing you next time. Sure. I'm really looking forward to that. So just thank you for being here. Thank you to everybody that's listening, that's paying attention. You know, reason I'm saying thank you to you is you're the chosen ones. You know, you are the chosen ones. We are to help. We are here to congregate and to rebuild everything that we've known in our souls for a very long time isn't right. And this is how we're going to do it, by coming together, unifying, building beautiful partnerships, and then stepping forwards with our collective manifestations and our intentions. Okay, so just thank you for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. And I would reiterate, thank you everyone who's listening, and everyone who also takes the time to comment, because please don't think if we don't personally respond to one of your comments that we haven't seen them and we're not grateful for them. It's just sometimes, you know, in terms of time allowances and where I put my energy. But every person that's sort of sharing their experiences in the comments and supporting other people on this journey, you're all such an important part of the picture. So thank you so much. And until next time, Lucy, have an amazing lovely sunshine and animal filled day.
Yeah, thanks, lovely. Really
Bye.
good to see you. Lots of love, everyone.
Bye.